A very good morning to everybody. I recently went to my local library and I got Britney Spears, The Woman in Me, the memoir by Britney Spears about her life and the conservatorship and whatever. And I wanted to talk about a few things that I thought about the book. I was meaning to read this, but I thought it was too much money, so I didn't buy it. And then I went to my library and I was like, oh wow, like they actually have books at the library. That's crazy. So I checked it out. I finished it within the last week, so I just want to share a few thoughts that I had on it. This is the Glossier Ultra Lip in the shade Ember. I just got this yesterday. No, it's not sponsored. Just wanted to put everybody on. Okay, so the beginning of the book, instead of talking about herself, Britney talks about her parents and her grandparents. When I was reading it, I was very confused as to why she's talking so much about her father's father and her mother's parents. But then it dawned on me, she's detailing like a cycle of abuse. Because sometimes, like, people are abused and they're the victim, but then they become the abuser and they continue the cycle as well. She's talking about how it is that her whole conservatorship situation came about because her father's father was hard on him and then he was hard on her and etc. And it just continues. So that was very interesting to me, especially when we get into parts about her grandmother on her mother's side supposedly shooting herself in front of a cemetery and then putting her in a mental institution or something like that. It like very clearly kind of parallels to what happened to her, which is crazy. One thing that she talks about a lot, because it's called The Woman in Me, a lot of times she talks about she doesn't feel like a woman. She feels like a child. Sometimes it was like kind of weird because I felt like she sees herself in a different way than everybody else sees her. Like there was one part in here where she was talking about how, oh, you know, why do they see me as a threat? Like I'm 5'4" and I'm from the South, so I call everybody ma'am and sir and whatever. And hear me out, like 5'4" is like pretty like average. Like it's not like that small. You know what I mean? So I feel like she thinks that she comes off as this very like innocent, blah, 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 blah. But to me, she just seems like a normal woman. That being said, I think it is a little bit justified because for one thing, when she was in the conservatorship, she was being treated like a child, even to points where like more so than just children, like she was like being abused in conservatorship. Like her father wouldn't even let her have dessert. She wasn't allowed to do X, Y, Z. She wasn't allowed to buy a pair of shoes that she wanted, even though, keep in mind, she's making millions of dollars. But I also think it's kind of valid because I've heard that when you endure like trauma or whatever in your childhood or like something like that, like it freezes you at that mental age. And she wasn't able to have like a normal childhood because she's been working since she was a child. Like even before, you know, Baby One More Time came out, she was on, you know, stupid Star Search. She was on the stupid, like what, Mickey Mouse Club, something like that. And she was providing for her whole family and she never got a chance to be a child. Then when her own sister, Jamie Lynn, grew up and because Britney was able to basically give her the childhood that she never had, then she was ungrateful for it. And I thought that was kind of crazy as well. Another thing that was kind of interesting to me, the photo shoot that came out, I think it's, what is it, Vanity Fair or something like that, Rolling Stone. There's this like magazine photo with, she's like in bed with a cell phone in her hand, or maybe not a cell phone, like a phone, and then also a Teletubby. But it's like kind of inappropriate, like they're trying to play on like her being young, but then they're also like sexualizing her. And she said in this book that like she didn't see what the big deal was with that picture. Like she thought the photographer was portraying her in just the way that she's always been. And while she might like feel that way herself, it's like grown men shouldn't be looking at her that way when she's a teenager. But then it was also weird to me because later on in the book, she was like, oh, some of you might wonder, you know, why I take pictures of myself naked and videos of myself naked and post on Instagram. Well, it's because when you've had other people like take your picture and whatever so long, you know, it's nice to finally, you know, have blah, blah, blah. I totally hear what you're saying in that like people are like sexualizing you when you're like taking your freedom back or whatever. But it's like, don't you see like that's what they were doing before with those magazines? Like they were sexualizing you then. To me, like I feel like she still doesn't understand like that she was being like wrongly sexualized there. Like even if like she was okay with it, it's like that's not, you know, she wasn't the adult there. So somebody should have like stepped in and did something like that. One thing, okay, I read in the book about how she got pregnant with Justin Timberlake's child and she wanted to keep it, but he didn't want to keep it. So he had her like take an abortion pill and then just have an abortion on the floor, couldn't go to the hospital because then, you know, the paparazzi and whoever would find out. That was really just a cruel situation. So I will say Justin Timberlake definitely not in the right here. Like, he was doing some bad things and not very good to her. At the same time, it was kind of weird to me how she was then later she married Kevin Federline and had 2 children by him. And then she had her infamous, like, I think 2007 MTV VMA Music Awards performance of Gimme More, and her hair extensions were showing, and everybody was like laughing at her and making jokes about her. And she talked about how Justin Timberlake was there too. And something about like, it was like one of the worst days of her life and she did awful, but then her ex was doing so great and he was like, you know, knocking it out of the park. And I understand that, and he was wrong, and she can still like be affected by that. But that was also kind of weird to me because at that point she's already married to another man and had like 2 children by him. So like, why are we still bringing up the ex? Which is not to say that, like, obviously, like, if she's like been abused by somebody, then yes, you can still speak your truth and bring it up later. But to me, it was just kind of weird that she keeps talking about how, oh, he's having the best time ever while she's suffering. But like, she was already married to somebody else. That being said, and this is something that she brought up in her book, How Did Everybody Miss This? How is it that she's so like mentally ill that she can't take care of herself? She needs to be in this conservatorship, but yet like she's well enough that she can keep doing all these tours and all these shows and all these Vegas residencies, even though she doesn't want to. I think they like forced her to have an IUD or something, like she wanted to take it out or whatever. And it's just really insane how they controlled her like this. Like, people need to be prosecuted. Like, people need to go to jail over this. But yeah, the book was interesting to read. Here's the thing, like, I wasn't born until 2005, so even though I knew some of this stuff, and I've seen pictures with her and Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan, like, I wasn't aware of all the perspective of what was going on. Like, I only have, like, a, like, fast forward to the future perspective. I wasn't aware with how, like, big Britney Spears was. Like, as much as you can say, oh, she was, like, the biggest pop star in the world or whatever, stuff like that, like, I will never know like what exactly that was like. Like, I will never experience that firsthand, but it did give me a little bit more insight to read the book. So I thought the book was pretty good. If anybody else would like to read it, it was pretty insightful. It's different things that were going on. Just really quick, this is kind of off topic and out of order. It was weird to me. Britney said that she was like maybe a teenager, or maybe she was 14, and that her and her mother would like go to the beach and like drink and whatever. But then one time she was in the car and her mother smelled smoke and she was like, oh, are you smoking? Like, she was like freaking out and whatever. And like, that was so weird to me because like, yes, she's like underage, like she can't buy cigarettes, but like, or like smoke, but at the same time, it's like, but you were okay with her drinking. Like, alcohol is a drug. I'm gonna make a video on this later. Alcohol is a drug, but it's just more normalized for, you know, whatever cultural reasons. That was kind of weird to me. Yeah, all these people in her family were enablers, and they let this stuff go on, and they need to be prosecuted for it. And yeah, so that's pretty much most of my thoughts.